This is the Russian Dynamite, Masha Slamovich.
Becca here.
This is Not America's Sweetheart, Davian. And
It's Billy Starks. And
the super fly guy, Trayvon Jordan.
This is the fly side flyer, Jalen Brandon.
Hardcore Princess, Jules Malone.
Hi there, this is the Bubblegum Princess, Alexia Nicole.
This is the Brazilian Wonder Woman, Christy Jane.
This is the baddest black belt, Chennai Kai.
This is Kid Bandit.
The smash hit Joel Bateman.
This is Robin Renegade.
Cody Hawk.
Brutal Bob Evans. And you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
Hi, this is Tully Bertorelli, the other Tully P in professional wrestling, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today. The trusted choice for interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox, sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. I'm, of course, your host, James J., and it's a great day for wrestling, because we are wrestling with Mr. Made for TV, Tully Bertorelli.
What's up, guys? Thank you for pronouncing the last name correctly, bud. I always get Bertinelli or Briscoli or Squipoli or Bertoli, and I'm like, thank God someone pronounced it correctly. It is Tully Bertorelli. Thank you so much, bud.
Yeah, usually I would have a problem with hitting it on the mark, but I guess I'm just on the mark today. How are you today?
Pretty good, man. It's a hot, sunny day in Chicago.
Well, it's a hot, sunny day in California as well.
Nice. I actually reside in Tullywood sometimes, so I kind of hop over to Tullywood, California when I need to, but today I'm in Chicago.
Hell yeah. And where could we see Mr. Made for TV event-wise?
You can check me out on NWA Chicago. You can check me out in UPW Wrestling in Marquette, Michigan, Frozen Tundra Wrestling in Wisconsin. You can see me at Future Stars of Wrestling in Las Vegas. You can see me on Backbreaker Wrestling in Indiana. And in a theater near you, or on Tubi.
So you're just all over the place.
Yeah, I'm a journeyman. I'm a traveler. I love to make the journey, man. It's all about the experience. I always tell people to trust the process and enjoy the journey, what you're about to do. You're going to go through highs and lows in life, but know that you're enough in this business.
Oh, yeah. And speaking of highs and lows, where can we find you on social media and merchandise?
You can, I have an Instagram page at Tully Bertorelli. That is my fan page. That's the only page that people can find me on. You can message me. I'll message back. It's not like some creepy guy named Fred that's working it. It's actually me. So feel free to give me a follow. I have a Bandcamp. So you go to bandcamp.com/Tully Bertorelli1 and listen to some music. But the best way to reach me is my Instagram page. I also have a TikTok. I believe it's Tully Bertorelli. I'm not sure. Just look for a icon that has the Batman symbol on it, because I'm a Batman fan myself.
Okay. And you are confirming that you are the only person on your Instagram and not some creepy guy as well.
Yeah, it's not some creepy guy named Fred. So if anyone got messages from Fred that is not Fred or Chad Moore from Mexico, Maine, I operate my own fan page. So if people message me or DM me, feel free to reach out. I do have a Facebook, but that's for personal use only. I do not accept friend requests from fans or anything like that. I only use that for my friends and family. So it's just my private life. So please be respectful, folks.
Of course. And where can we find merchandise as well?
I have a pro wrestling tee store. So if you just look up Tully Bertorelli, that's Tully space Bertorelli, you'll find 3 shirts available at Pro Wrestling Tees. Big shout out to my friend Shay that actually made the designs, and my buddy the Cobra out of Illinois making one of my logos too.
Okay. And you don't have to go looking for it. All of the links to all his social media will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox.
Awesome.
Alright, let's get into it. You've had the distinct honor of wrestling Sin Bodhi obviously a well-known, respected name in pro wrestling. Can you tell us about that tag team match you were in?
I was approached to wrestle Sin Bodhi a couple months ago in at Marquette, Michigan. At sorry about that. I'm just closing the window so you don't hear the construction. I wrestled Sin Bodhi in a tag match with my tag partner as Milwaukee's Finest against Jason and Sin Bodhi, and I've known Sin for years actually. I first met Sin a long time ago in Chicago when he was doing comedy with Jake the Snake Roberts, when Jake the Snake Roberts did a tour. Wow. And I got front row tickets, and that's how I met Sin. And then during the pandemic, I was part of the Snake Pit crew, which is a really valuable thing if any inspiring wrestler or if you're a student of the game that's just learning, that want to learn from the best, and if you want to get critiqued by Sin helped me develop my character. And when I had the opportunity that I was going to be wrestling him, it was an honor because I followed Sin when I was a fan. Still am a fan to this day of wrestling. But yeah, it was just a really fun opportunity, and I'm very grateful to have him in my life, and it was just amazing. It was my first name, as they call it in wrestling, that I got to wrestle, a WWE, TNA guy like Sin Bodhi, who is very well known in the wrestling community, and it was just awesome. We tore the house down. It was so much fun.
And obviously you were working with him behind the scenes before you got in the ring. I would like to think that you maybe made an impression on him that he would have liked to work with you. Hence, the match. Did you kind of feel that as well? Well, I don't want to break too much kayfabe, but Sin Bodhi's helping me out with some things. That's how I got in touch with Future Stars of Wrestling. So I really appreciate, the coaches out there that, took the chance of me. And I'm going to be back there actually in July. I believe 12th is their Future Shock show. So if you're in Las Vegas, you can check out the Future Shock show, which is their student show. And the self-proclaimed other Tully B will be out there. So. Gotcha. Wrestling, Sin, is that a moment you kind of take in the moment, or is that something that kind of sets in afterwards, like, wow, I did that?
The week prior to it, I actually hit up Sin for coaching advice, because in this business, you never stop learning, and if you stop learning, what are you doing in this business? You should find a different trade. But I learned a lot from him, and I still do, and so leading up to it, and when I got to the ring, I was like, holy cow. And the promoters of UPW also saw that too. It was like, this guy is something different, and it was just awesome. He just gave me my confidence back that I needed in wrestling, because something about me that we can discuss later is I'm in sobriety myself, and being an addict, you go through your highs and lows, but he definitely brought that fire back into the passion of mine in professional wrestling. So I really appreciate that. And so when it led up to it, and when I was doing it, when I got in the back, I just took a deep breath, put my boots away, and just let it go and moved on to the next one,
I gotcha. You mentioned losing your confidence. When did that kind of happen during your wrestling journey?
So this is the third time being sober for myself. So when I was going through my early days of my third time being sober, I used to beat myself up, and I really didn't know what to do with my life. And I had a few people out there that I like to shout out to, like John Bullard of Fantastic Lever Wrestling. That's another company I worked for. I forgot to mention Flow, which you should definitely check out there in the Midwest Chicagoland area. But it was really sometimes you beat yourself up, and getting that confidence, getting to be where I'm at, and now that I can do stuff like moves I haven't done ever in my career, like I can finally do a slingshot suplex, and I can do a second rope falling headbutt and not be afraid, because when you wrestle, you should never be afraid of your opponent. You should never be afraid of yourself, because if you do that, you get hurt.
Right.
you know. And now that I just feel more confident than ever. I'm not trying to sound big-headed, but like I recently had a tryout for a promotion overseas, and I'm still waiting for the phone call, so I can't really talk too much about it because I don't want to jinx it. But I went in there like a football player. I went in there with a combine and I made myself out there that I'm going to give them the best. I'm tough enough for this business. I'm going to go until I can't do this anymore. I'm 37 years old, man. I've been doing this, started when I was 18, came back when I was 20, and I've been doing it on and off for 17 years, man. And it's just been a journey.
How was that overseas tryout? Because from what I hear, the overseas wrestling tryouts can be pretty brutal compared to what we're doing in America.
So the overseas tryout was happened in Wisconsin.
Okay.
So I didn't have to fly out there. I just had to drive an hour and a half away from Chicago, you know. And I'll tell you, it's when you do a tryout, I walked in being like, this is football. This is a combine. They want to give us up. You got to give it your all. You're not going to half dog it. Don't quit. Don't give up. Like, we had to do over 200 to 500 hinge squats. We had to run the ropes. We had to do high knees. We had to show them why they want to pick us and not the other guy.
It seems like you bring a football mentality into pro wrestling. Have you always had that headspace when it comes to pro wrestling?
I actually go in the mindsets of a performer, because besides being a professional wrestler, I'm also an actor. I'm also a musician. I make artwork. So I go in as, if I'm going in for an audition, I'm going to give them the best I can and what I have to offer. I'm not just going to read the lines. I'm going to give them that take. That's my best take. Just like a tryout, I'm going to give them the very best of who I am.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
And, you mentioned, getting sober for the third time. How long have you been sober, may I ask?
So the 28th, and I've been behaving. I will be soon to be 5.5 years sober.
Congratulations.
Thank you. If you ever have seen the movie Walk Hard with Dewey Cox, John C. Reilly movie where they Perry walk the line, that is pretty much my biopic.
What was like the deciding factor to, get sober, considering that you tried 2 times before? I can imagine that was, discouraging, no?
So the first time I went sober was a bet with my old personal trainer, Mike, from Urban Athlete. Big shout out to Mike. He doesn't work there anymore, but hope he's listening. First was a bet. Second time I overdosed, and then the third time I wound in the hospital. And when I was in the hospital, I realized that I need to get my shit in order. Sorry to swear, by the way. Can I swear?
Yeah, say whatever the fuck you want.
All right, cool. I had to get my shit in order, and to do that, I had to stop doing stupid shit, and it's tough in this business. It's tough in entertainment when you feel like you're Superman, but really you're Batman in real life, and you just gotta just decide that, like, yeah, I'm an addict. Get the help, get the support, and just keep going, trust the process, enjoy the journey.
And what does it mean to you now to be, 5 years sober?
Almost 5.5 years sober. I feel great. I sleep better. I don't text bad decisions. I don't crave. I don't miss getting messed up or hungover or like drunk or high. It's amazing. I still have like a non-alcoholic beer if I'm at a after party, or I have a cigar, or I'll pop a Zyn pack in and do that. But like, I'm not doing anything stupid. I'm not going to smoke weed or drink rum and cokes, or have like tequila sunrises in the middle of like 3 o'clock in the morning,
Right. You should never meet my co-host. Coke and rum is literally his go-to drink.
Yeah. I mean, my new favorite thing is like Liquid Death. So if Liquid Death's listening to me, sponsor me. Sin's listening to me, sponsor me. But yeah, I just feel so much better, and I just feel alive. I feel young again. I mean, I'm 37, but I feel I'm 27.
I gotcha. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. There was a Tully Vision World title at one point, no?
Yes. So the World Television title was something I made up way before I broke into the business. When I was a kid, I used to be part of eFed Wrestling, and I don't know if you know what that is. I don't know what your age is.
Yeah.
But back in the day, when you did role plays online or emails, you made up a character, and that's when I made Television. And I used to have this title. If I ever won the world title, I would rebrand it as the World Television title, or if I won the television title, I would call it the World Television belt. So I've defended it before at many shows. I'm still the longest reigning World Television champion. No one has taken off my waist. But yeah, it's been a fun time.
Is that kind of a full circle moment from going to an eFed to actually making it a reality?
Yeah, it's pretty surreal that, like, you know, talking to a guy that's, you know, 6'4", 255 pounds, and when he was a kid, he was only 6'2" and weighed 220, and was just typing away these stories, and now they're actually becoming an effect. Like, I'm actually doing the moves I've said that I was going to do in eFeds. Like, I was going to do the slingshot suplex. I was going to do the 3-point lariat. I was going to do the second rope, you know, headbutts, you know, and it's just, it's pretty surreal that it's more of a reality now.
Right. Now, another name you've been in the ring with is a one Eric Smalls. NWA contracted wrestler. What was that experience like wrestling him?
So that was full circle for me. So when I broke in, I wasn't just a wrestler. I did everything they asked. Like, I was a ring interviewer, I was a ring announcer, and one point in time, to be really funny, I was a referee. And one of the referee matches I ever did was with the Half-Pint Brawlers. So I got approached to wrestle Eric Smalls because I was doing a show for PWK up in Indiana at a Texas Roadhouse. I was done with my match. I defended my World Television belt. And they asked for in a body slam challenge. And after the match was done, I was ready to go out to Berwyn to do cleanup crew for Ruthless Pro, which was a deathmatch show. But before I left, the promoter run up to me and was like, "Hey, can you do double duty?" I'm like, "Yeah, what's up?" He's like, "Eric needs an opponent." And I'm like, "Who's Eric?" And they pointed to Eric. I was like, "Oh, hell yeah." And I go up to him and I asked him, "You call yourself the Half-Pint Punk. By any chance, were you part of the Half-Pint Brawlers?" He's like, "Yes, I was." I'm like, "I refereed you back in the day, and Puppet wanted to staple my nuts in the match." And he remembered exactly what it was. So wrestling's all full circle sometimes, so it was pretty surreal to wrestle a guy like Eric Smalls. I'd love to do it again. It was so much fun.
I'm just curious, like, how do you work a match, you know, with somebody, you know, so small and you being, you know, so big?
It's David versus Goliath. It's perfect storytelling, you know. It's just like the little guy's got to do his power to take down the giant, you know.
I gotcha.
And it was funny, too, because his opponent was late, and he showed up 2 minutes before we went out there. So it was a triple threat, but still, at the same time, it was pretty surreal.
How did that work? Because I'm assuming you and Eric set some things up, and then the narrative gets changed 2 minutes before the actual bell.
We didn't really change much. We included him in. I mean, I took the pinfall, you know, and yeah, we made it do. I mean, sometimes it happens like that in wrestling. Sometimes you have an opponent that shows in 2 minutes, and you got to walk and talk.
I mean, I feel like he should have took the pinfall. I mean, if he was that late, I mean, you know, do the honors at least.
Yeah. But it was a lot of fun. I would love to do it again.
Another interesting thing that I found is that you've actually wrestled in a six-sided ring. What's kind of the difference between wrestling a six-sided ring rather than the traditional four?
Six-sided is confusing. That's all I'm going to say about that. That's all I have to say. I can't really go more into detail. It's just confusing.
Well, what's confusing about it? Just that
It's not a square. It's a six-sided thing.
Okay, so it's because it's six-sided.
It's six-sided. It's just confusing. It's like math. Like, I mean, math is fun, but when it's six sides, it's like, what?
I gotcha. Now, can you tell us about Hijo del French Cactus?
Yeah, we can. Hijo the French Cactus was a character that was brought to me by my late partner, the original French Cactus, Ricky the janitor. He was my old tag partner. He passed away a couple of years ago from fentanyl.
Sorry for that.
We were best friends, and we were two white guys in a lucha fed, and as a joke, we decided one day I was going to dress up as him under his moniker while he wrestled as Ricky El Hermoso. And it was so funny because the crowd was like shocked. And it was a fun time. And so as a joke, but even though Ricky was younger than me, I was his son of the French Cactus. I actually have that French Cactus tattooed on my, right by my stomach with RTJ underneath, just as a memory. Because I'll be real when I say this, I miss that guy very much. We've been tag partners. We've been opponents. We were once the cleanup crew when he was Ricky the janitor. I was Mr. Clean. He was Francis Bacon, and I was Baron von Brexit when we were called the New Athletic Training Organization, aka NATO. Like, we had fun, and that was a fun memory doing that. And I miss him so much.
Well, another interesting individual is a one Loverboy Tiberius.
Yep. Loverboy Tiberius Tang. So Loverboy Tiberius Tang was one of the first gimmicks I was ever given to when I started. One day I showed up to a Royal at ARW Indiana, and I had this toupee, and I put a headband on. And my buddy Braun the Lumberjack, big shout out to my buddy Braun, and he's like, you need a new name. What you going to go with? I'm like, Television. He's like, you don't look like Television anymore. You look like the guy from Loverboy. You're going to be called Loverboy. Man, that hair looks like Tiberius. And someone yelled out, Tang. And so I developed this character as not a gay wrestler, but a flamboyant wrestler. There's a difference between gay and flamboyant wrestling, and people think it's the same, but it's completely opposite. If you look at flamboyantness as Adrian Street and like Adrian Adonis and like all that stuff, that there is a difference. And right. I've had a lot of fun matches with Loverboy. I actually have Tiberius Tang tattooed on me too as a memory.
I mean, obviously you were doing you wanted to do Tullyvision.
Yeah. Tullyvision was always something I've always wanted to do. When I broke in 2006 at Fantasy Camp 06, Fantasy Camp 8 2006 at Windy City Pro Wrestling. Shout out to them for my start. I wanted to come up with a moniker, and I remember I did the promo, and I said, adjust your television. It's time for Tullyvision. And they loved it, and I wanted to be called Tully-san. And everyone's like, nah, dude, you're Tullyvision. That's a great name. And I took the name Tullyvision because that used to be my old web journal on Xanga back in the day. It used to be Tullyvision 1 or my Yahoo back in the day. And I just clicked. But it's spelled with a Z, not an S. It sounds more 80s.
Right. But, you wanted to do Tullyvision, but what was that moment like when it kind of got flipped on you and like now you're Loverboy Tiberius?
It was just basically like it had a switch, because like I thought I could do Tullyvision, and then because I did a talk show segment when I was starting out called Tullyvision, and it created traffic, and I've always wanted to use that name. And then when they gave me that name of Loverboy Tiberius Tang, I was like, all right, I'm Loverboy. And some people still remember me as Loverboy.
So you kind of take it on, like, as a challenge rather than...
Yeah. In wrestling, you're going to always have challenges. You're always going to have stuff that makes you feel uncomfortable. And the more uncomfortable you are, the more confident you're going to be in yourself as a performer.
Dare I ask, what was the most uncomfortable you've been in the ring?
I did not go through it, but one time I had to do a match where if I won, I had to wear a dress. And it made no sense because I would think the loser would wear the dress. And I just didn't like that because I was having my football guys I coached for come to the show. And I didn't want their football coach to be wearing a dress, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I get that.
And there was one time they wanted me to be paired up with these guys that were very much like they weren't like Trump supporters, but it was very much a Trump gimmick. And I have no political or anything like that, but I just thought it was too soon to do that. You know?
No, I get it.
You know, I mean, you could be a Democrat, you could be a Republican. I'm neither. I'm a moderate. I'm in the middle. But, like, my thing is this. It's just, like, you never want to do gimmicks in wrestling that are too touched to what's going on in the world today because someone out there could be triggered, if that makes any sense.
Especially in 2025, where...
Yeah, thank you. Especially in 2025.
Yeah, literally the smallest thing could set somebody off, politically.
Like, sure, I remember I used to do a bit where I would tell my opponents 6 feet apart, or if they were going to wrestle me, they had to show me their vaccination card, or put hand sanitizer on before they wrestled. Like, tongue-in-cheek like that. But, like,
right.
Nothing more than that.
Alright, I completely, yeah. You could do it tongue-in-cheek, but, you know, when you full-on do it, and I could do a comparison like right now. El Grande Americano, you know, is tongue-in-cheek. And MJF, like, full-on went, you know, American on Mexico a couple of weeks ago on Dynamite.
Yeah.
Alright. Another person you got to talk with is Frank Nelson, a Chicago legend in pro wrestling. What was that experience like?
With Mike Anthony?
Frank Nelson.
Which one?
Frank Nelson?
Frank the Tank Nelson, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That was such an... I've wrestled also Mike Anthony. That's why when you said Chicago legend. I met Frank the Tank early on in my career, and I've always respected the Windy City Guards that came before me. And it was a huge honor to be tagging with him on his retirement match. And it was just really cool to get that rub, you know? And it was just a lot of fun. Cool dude. We talked about the old Windy City days. I love when I meet the old guard. Like, when I was Loverboy, I actually made Eli the Eliminator from World Class or Mad Max from the Max Brothers mark out to my match. You know, and it's always cool to have, like, that old school people that are still in the business or outside the business that are in the crowd pull you aside and tell you that you're old school, and it's great. Because the thing is this, is like, a lot of people want to say old school's wrestling's dead like punk rock, but old school wrestling's not dead, man. It's all about storytelling. A lot of guys now want to get a sizzle reel and make 12,000 million views on their TikTok because they can do like a double flip cutter, and that's cool. But storyteller in wrestling is definitely longevity.
No, absolutely. And you spoke about Anthony as well. You got to wrestle him.
I got to wrestle Mike Anthony a couple times, and I'll tell you one thing. That one guy's 1 ton. He's one tough dude, and it was just really fun wrestling him, and it was an honor to wrestle him because, you know, he was Mr. Windy City, and it was just a huge honor.
Now, this definitely is an out of nowhere thing. I would like to say. you wrote Shane McMahon a letter, and he actually wrote you back.
So I went to Bridgeton Academy after high school. I couldn't sign with Windy City Wrestling when I was in high school because I was committed to play college football at Bridgeton Academy. And Bridgeton Academy was in North Bridgeton, Maine. Shout out to Wolverines. Shane McMahon graduated there in class of 88. And I decided to ask the alumni for his email, and I wrote him a letter. And I was one of the first students to ever actually get a letter, like an email back. And he just asked me if I wanted to be in the ring or the business. I responded back, I wanted to do both, and nothing happened because he was on his way out. But my goal in WWE, when it does happen, is I just want to give him a Wolverine shirt. We're both part of the same school. You know, we're part of that brotherhood of Bridgeton Academy. So, but yeah, when I was at BA, I spent many times in the alumni office talking to World Wrestling Entertainment, trying to get a hold of him.
What was that moment like when you saw that you actually got a reply from Shane McMahon?
I freaked the fuck out, dude. I mean, I freaked out. I was like, holy shit. I showed the school, they're like, you're the first to ever get response. And I was just mind-blowing and just such a surreal experience. Just like the time I emailed Andrew WK's manager, and Andrew WK emailed me back, and that was like surreal too. It's just, I've lived a wild life, man, and it's just been crazy that I've been just receiving these like little gifts here and there like that. It's pretty cool.
I could definitely imagine. It just obviously, you know, I'm assuming this was around 2009 because you said that he was leaving.
2007, actually. So it was 2 years before he left.
Okay. But yeah, that's truly incredible. The money, the prodigal son.
Exactly. Shane O'Mac. Ex-Punk.
Speaking of prodigal son, can you tell us about Santa Claus teaming with Jesus?
Okay, so my side hustle in the winter is I am actually Santa Claus. Sorry for those kids that are listening in. Yes, I dress up as Santa Claus. I work for Saint Nicholas himself. I'm part of the Santa Society of America. And I've done some Santa gigs in wrestling shows. But I remember I was talking to my this one league called Wrestle League, and I told them, like, hey, what if we have Santa wrestle the Grinch and have Jesus make the save? And it became a huge hit. We did it again the next year, and it became a huge thing on TikTok. Like, my kids at the high school were even asking me, like we asked them what they do over winter break, and I told them, like, yeah, it was Santa Claus, and I teamed with Jesus. And they're like, that was you, Coach? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, no way. And I showed them the photo. Like, that is you, Coach. Oh, my God. So that was pretty funny that I had, like, a little sizzle reel that went viral.
Yeah, I distinctly remember this past December, I saw that, I actually did see that match. And I was like, so Jesus teamed with Santa Claus. Yeah, that's pretty pro wrestling.
That's wrestling for you.
And then to come to find out afterwards, you know, doing research for this interview, that it was you.
Yeah, I know. Who would have known Santa has over 70 tattoos and, you know, is a giant of a man and was on Chicago PD Empire and Fargo, was on Drunk History and Steve Harvey Show. Like, I mean, like, it's pretty funny.
One could maybe even say it's bizarre, which is our segue to our next segment, and that is Tully's Bizarre Adventure. You're a pro wrestler that goes up and down the roads, and weird, crazy, and bizarre things are bound to happen. Can you tell us a road story that fits that description?
What do you mean? Say again?
Can you tell us a weird, crazy, and or bizarre road story? So while you're getting...
Yeah, sure. So I'm with my mentor. I'm not going to say his name, but I love him to death. He knows who he is. We're driving to Indiana for a fair show, and there's this guy in front of us swerving the road, and all of a sudden we're like, what's going on? So we speed up. The dude's getting roadhead. That was a funny story. Then there was one time we were driving, my buddy and I were driving back from Ottawa, Illinois, and we got pulled over. And I was like, I got this, bro. And so the cop bangs the window. My buddy gets a ticket because he was going like 90. And I was like, excuse me, sir, do you watch Chicago PD? He's like, what's that? I'm like, it's Dick Wolf, Law and Order. He's like, oh, yeah. I'm like, oh, I was in that show. He's like, oh, yeah, you were in Chicago PD? Wow, well, I'm still going to give you boys a ticket. I'm like, fuck.
You should have pulled the I know Jesus card.
Yeah, I tagged with Jesus. But yeah, those are some fun road stories like that.
Well, speaking of acting, can you tell us about Weekend Getaway?
Yeah, so Weekend Getaway is one of my first movies I ever acted in. I used to do stunt work for TV and film. You can IMDb me and find out my filmography, but I was approached to do Weekend Getaway because I was in a short that my friend CJ Phillips made, and big shout out to Three Feather Films. And when we were out there filming his short, we were at his vacation home on location, and I told him, like, he needs to make a movie out here, like a horror film. And like 2 years later, he hit me up and he offered me the role. And I can't really spoil the movie, but it's a great movie. It's like a love letter to the 80s horror. I play a bartender. TNA superstar Madman Fulton's in that movie. And then a guy named Koa, I forgot his Koa. He's from Chicago. He's another wrestler. He's in it too. And Kevin Bacon's son actually made the music for it. So.
And this
So yeah.
This was like one of your first proper roles that you actually got to act in.
It was one of my first roles that I actually got to talk, and I was really proud of it. It was a really fun days on sets, and I really, really tell people all the time if they want to check it out. Because I also last year I was in a Pine Sol ad that people probably saw on YouTube. That was a cool moment of my acting career, but Weekend Getaway is up there as a fun memory.
You got to thank the Pine Sol lady.
Yes, and I will put it this way. I am a huge mark for Diana Amos. She is hilarious. When I was on set, I geeked the fuck out.
Obviously movies and being on production sets is, somewhat different than, being in a wrestling locker room. Having, other wrestlers on the set of Weekend Getaway, did that kind of help the process in any way?
While I was still wrestling, I was still doing stunt work. So, like, I've learned set etiquette and everything like that. Like, one of the first movies I was in was in a movie called Divergent, where I'm an extra. I was in Dauntless Faction, and I was on set for a while, and then I was on Drunk History. So I've been on TV and film sets before, so it wasn't really a hard transition to go from being like a wrestler to an actor, if that makes any sense. Since I've been on set before, I know what you have to do and not do on set,
Right. I feel like
one thing you should not do is not get overly excited because you met Diana Amos from the Pine Sol lady.
I'm assuming that was your biggest geek out moment, meeting a celebrity.
Well, I mean, the thing is this, like, before Diana Amos, I met Felicia Hardy from the Cosby Show, and not Felicia Hardy, that's Black Cat. Felicia Rashad from the Cosby Show. I got to do a scene with her on Empire, which was really cool when I did stunts. I got to work with Terrence Howard. I got to meet Wood Harris from Remember the Titans on Empire. I did a scene with the main guy from Power, Tommy, which was really cool. And I have a lot of fun opportunities. I was in a movie with Dolph Lundgren and Michael J. White and Tyrese Gibson from Fast and Furious. I did a movie with John Goodman and Machine Gun Kelly and Jonathan Majors called Captive States. I was on Fargo, where I got killed in the 4th season, the first episode. Like, I got chewed out by Steve Harvey. If you want to watch that, go YouTube Yo Mama Wingman on YouTube. It's got over like 78,000 views. It's the best Mother's Day gift I ever gave my mom. I've had a fun entertainment career, and I say this because I'm keep going. I'm not going to quit. I was talking this with my buddy today, who's in my band, because I'm going to do this until I can't walk, until I can't speak. I'm going to still perform no matter what.
Fargo, didn't you get like stabbed in the eye? Murdered?
Yeah, in Fargo, I got stabbed in the eye. So if you watch the first episode of season 4 of Fargo, you see a prohibition scene. Prohibition in that era. And yeah, it opens. I open the door, I lose a bet, and I get stabbed in the eye. It was pretty dope.
But what maybe like what's like the biggest difference of doing, the stunt work for a movie rather than, getting to do extra work for movies?
Well, when you're an extra, you're definitely treated differently than being stunts, because in stunts, you're a crew member, essentially. And in the stunt community, when you're on set, if you're doing stunts, you're very well respected. In extra work, you're just the body. You're a movable object. You're cattle. And it was fun working as extras before, and I always inspire anyone that wants to be an actor to try extra work out, because it's long days. When I did stunts for Power, I remember one time I had a call time for 5 o'clock. I didn't get on set until 1 o'clock in the morning.
Damn.
Yeah.
What was the most physical thing you had to do in stunt work?
In stunts?
Yeah.
Driving. Falling down. Getting punched. Stunts is no joke, man. I give it a shout out to my brothers and sisters that still do stunt work out there, whether it be California or Chicago or Atlanta. It's just you're doing all these takes, and you got to do about like 28 takes. It's not like with wrestling where it's just like, okay, we're going to have 10 minutes, go.
Right.
There's no restart, there's no reset. It's just go, 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 go.
And you mentioned music. You were part of a ska band called Captain Crunch?
That's a throwback. Where'd you find that?
I do my research.
That's hilarious. When I was in high school, I used to host open mics at the Old Town School of Folk Music when I was in high school. I was actually in a band first called Friar Tull and His Merry Men. And then I paired up with these guys called Severe with Velotron. We were a Jimi Hendrix cover band. But while I was as Friar Tull, I used to recruit musicians to play Wild Thing every night at the open mic. And then we evolved into Captain Crunch the Serial Killers. And we only did one show, but we used to throw cereal at the people. It was awesome.
Well, you are able to play the flute as well, no?
Yeah. So when I was in Severe with Velotron, we were in a Jimi Hendrix cover band. And at one point, I used to know how to play Plays, Fire, Wing Cries Mary, almost the whole discography of Jimi Hendrix on flutes. I can't anymore, though. I can still play a little flute. But the current instruments I know how to play is flute, guitar, bass, piano, and I sing very bad.
I mean, I get a lot of those instruments, but why the flute?
So my brother, when I was growing up, played the violin, and they told my mom when we were kids that they should never have two violin players in the household or they'll just beat each other up. So I remember when I was at Suzuki School, I saw this shiny instrument, and I just liked the way it sounded. And I was 6 years old, and I did it until I was 12.
That's interesting. Why would two violinists beat each other up?
Jealousy.
Well, I mean, you're already brothers. I'm sure that there was some of that already.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what the teacher was saying, you know?
I gotcha. Well, I didn't know that you actually played guitar, but I am very aware that you played the air guitar, no?
Yes, so I am an air guitarist as well. I recently competed in the Chicago Regionals this year for the USA air guitar. I did not place, but last year I took second place runner-up at the Chicago Regionals. I've been doing air guitar for about 3 to 4 years now. I've known that community since 2013 when they used to do shows at the Metro.
What is the difference between playing air guitar compared to real guitar? You know, obviously with the one, you know.
So the difference between playing regular guitar and air guitar is your air guitar is larger than life. You have a minute to go on stage to rock the house, melt faces, give birth to babies. And when you're playing guitar, you're just strumming. But when you have the airness, you got to show the performance, show the character. It's just like wrestling, except it's a minute long.
Okay. So,
like one of my good friends, Nordic Thunder, and I would like to give a shout out to because he's considered the world's greatest air guitar performer.
What advice would you give somebody that wanted to get into air guitaring?
Have fun, do it. Don't look back. Just have fun. Be silly. Don't take it seriously. Everyone can do it. We've all air guitar when we were kids, when we rocked out to our favorite songs. You know, just have fun.
Well, you could tell me if you take this seriously. Can you tell us the difference between cold brew coffee and iced coffee?
So, iced coffee is very not caffeinated. Cold brew will wake you up. So, you watched the Charlie Cold Brew video, I'm guessing?
Yes.
Yeah. That was a funny gag my bandmate and I did. I was addicted to Dunkin' Donuts, and I love caffeine. I love everything about coffee. Cold brew is just basically just bland coffee. Cold brew has enough caffeine to wake you up if you need to wake up. Charlie Cold Brew, in a sense, is just with caramel, and it's sweet, and it just makes you up. And yeah. You've been doing your research. I like this. A lot of people just ask me about, like, so what is it like being sober? So I appreciate these hard questions, man.
Yeah, absolutely. We like to keep it interesting for our guests.
Yeah, they're like, what is this dude? Is this guy real? According to Google, I'm a public figure, for crying out loud. Exactly. According to ChatGPT, you can look up who is Tully Bertorelli. It has my whole life.
Oh, yeah. So it's very much to say that you are passionate about your cold brew.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I want a Charlie Cold Brew, not a caramel coffee.
You will go straight heel on that person that gives you iced coffee.
Oh, yeah. Come on, man.
Well, you've mentioned a couple of them already, but can you tell us about your tattoos and what meaning they have behind them?
I have over 70 tattoos. Some of my tattoos is my father's art. I have every tattoo I get is a story. I don't want to go down all 70 of them because I think this will be a 5-hour episode.
Yeah.
The test pattern is not because I'm a Fallout fan. It's just back in the day when TV went off the air, it would play that, and that was the inspiration for television. But yeah, people always ask me about my tattoos, and I'm just like, which one do you want to know about? I'll tell you right off the bat. The cartoon explosion on my left elbow is because I love cartoons, because I want to be a cartoon voice actor one day. It's going to happen. I mean, I can stitch if I want to right now, but that's really not a stitch movie.
Because Ohana means family.
Very, very much. Ohana means family. Go on with the next question.
You do have, like, a luchador on your stomach?
The one with the title belt?
Yeah.
So that was originally supposed to look like a title belt from Windy City called the Battle Royal title. but my buddy Jason couldn't draw it. So I just told him to just draw it in his style. And the night before, I had lots of sangria and rib tips, and it was the most painful tattoo of my life. It is not strong bad. It is not, my friends like to say it's me, but it's my own, it's my love for Lucha Libre.
What, is there any plans for new tattoos in the future?
Yeah, I plan to be covered. I mean, I'm planning to finish my legs by the end of the year, and my back and my chest to be finished. I will never touch my hands or my knuckles or my face or my neck or my head. I mean, I would love to have the Bam Bam Bigelow tattoo, but at the same time, is when you work in film, it's very hard to cover that up.
Right.
Especially because you have to get a signature from your artist to approve it. And also, if you get something on your head or your hands, you kind of pigeonhole yourself as being typecast.
Right.
So a lot of my tattoos, when I'm going out for firefighters or cops or anything like that, I can cover up. So I look conservative, if that makes any sense. But
right.
If I'm going for a biker, I'll show up with a leather vest.
Well, what's the next one you're getting?
I'm thinking about getting proper, and then Chicago, my other leg, because my friend Ivy from Old Town Tattoos doing that. And then my friend Casey, she's going to be doing a Grim Reaper on the back of my shoulder. Just because I've dealt with a lot of death in my life, and I feel like death is just watching over me. Excited to be dark.
So does multiple people have worked on your tattoos? There's been multiple artists that have done your tattoos.
Yeah, I've gone through many artists in my career. A lot of them, like Max Weber from California, my buddy Stompik of Tattoo Factory, my friend Ivy Blue from Old Town Tattoo, my buddy Wolfman from Old Town Tattoo have done my body. So and Jen Doe from Old Town Tattoo. So I've gone through a lot of artists in my day.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that brings us to the colossal question. Let's say they're making a movie about you. Every movie has a soundtrack. What would be the first 3 songs on your movie soundtrack?
First song to open up will be Bob O'Reilly orchestra version. It's a very good song by The Who. The orchestra version just gets me in the zone. Another song will be Super Rad by the Aquabats, because I love the Aquabats, and I highly recommend people to listen to ska and not Machine Gun Kelly. Just kidding, but ska is fun. And then probably Huey Lewis, Back in Time, or Power of Love. Or it's The Studio by Phil Collins.
Okay.
Because I love 80s music.
I mean, we could have all of those. I limit it to 3, but you could say more if you want.
I could go all the end credits is Heroes by Peter Gabriel, the Stranger Things version. Oh gosh.
Well, it's definitely
throw in some Creed, throw in
oh, hell yeah.
Stay Here With Me, fucking Streets With No Name by U2. All right, go on. What's the next one?
Well, it's definitely a solid album at this point. Yeah, everybody knows you get the soundtrack first, then you write the script, and then you go to casting. Who plays you? And you can't say yourself because you were obligated to make a Stan Lee-esque cameo.
So if I had an actor now play me, wow, it would probably be Jerry O'Connell from Slider fame in like Tomcats and Scream 2, or the fat kid from Stand By Me. He definitely play me, or Matthew Lillard.
Okay. Now every movie has a supporting cast. Who would be 3 people significant to you and your story that would be in your movie, and who would play them?
My buddy John Bullard will be played by John Goodman. My dad will be played by Hulk Hogan.
Okay.
And I'm kidding. My dad will be played by Henry Cavill. And then my buddy Dixon will be played by Denzel Washington.
Perfect. This is sounding like a blockbuster.
It'll be called Tully Lives.
And you could pre-order the tickets now.
Exactly. Coming soon to 2035.
We already have a
Directed
release
by
date.
Tim Burton.
Ooh, Tim Burton. Alright, on to a controversial subject. Pineapple on pizza. What's your stand?
Delicious. Pineapple and jalapeno with sausage is delicious. Next.
What's your spirit?
Fight me to the fans that think pineapple and sausage and jalapeno doesn't be good on pizza. Try it out. You'll love it. Sweet, savory, and salty. It's delicious.
Well, there's definitely a few people that would take you up on that offer. Like I said, it's a hot button issue. What's your spirit Pokemon?
Jigglypuff.
Sweet. We love the late great Tracy Smothers on the show. Do you know the acronym for Doug? THUG. Hello? Can
You there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep. Sorry about that, man. Someone was calling me.
No worries. We love the late great Tracy Smothers on the show. Do you know the acronym for Doug? THUG.
Yes, I do forgot what it meant, so I know a lot of people are going to yell at me.
Would you like me to spell it out for you?
Of course.
T is for terrible, H is for hell, U is for ugly, and G is for jail, 'cause a dog can't spell.
Tracy was such a good dude. I wish I got to meet him.
Oh, same here. We love the late great Tracy Smothers, trying to keep the memory alive on the show.
Yeah.
Weirdest question you'll be asked on a wrestling interview, hopefully. Would you ever consider wrestling a Rock? Not Dwayne Johnson, not the country, an actual physical Rock.
Oh, 100%, man. I'll wrestle a bear. I'll wrestle a coyote. I'll wrestle a pebble, a sandcastle. Bring it.
Well, that's great. Just for context, there is a wrestler named Psycho Mike that indeed wrestled a Rock for over 15 minutes in a Tungsten Man match. That's an arm
awesome.
match that lasted for 2 weeks.
That's amazing.
Yes. On a more serious note, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Still traveling, still entertaining, making art, making music, acting in movies, and wrestling, and meeting the lovely people that supported me, and just alive, sober, 10.5 years sober, and happy.
And what is a match that people should go out of their way to see that best shows off you as a pro wrestler?
It's not out yet, but my match against Samson and I at Marquette Mania 3 this year was probably up there as one of my favorite matches.
And will that be
Another fun one they should watch is the one against Beast versus Tiberius Tang at ARW when I was Loverboy, because then you can tell how funny it was and how Eli the Eliminator loved our match, because it was very much old school.
Can we find these matches on YouTube?
They can't find the Marquette Mania one, but they can find the ARW one, because the ARW one has been showcased around Europe.
All right, perfect. I will grab that match from YouTube and put it in the description of the video below for anybody that hasn't seen it, wants to see it, wants to re-see it after this interview.
Definitely.
And since we are nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of doom. This is our speed round or bonus round, the round where we see who you really are. Are you ready?
All right, bring it on.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
Ooh. William Regal.
Worst wrestler.
God.
Okay.
HBK and God versus the McMahons? Come on.
But I mean, you teamed with his son.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
You're main eventing WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who is your opponent?
Dead or alive?
Anyone. Anything.
Triple H.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
The One Billy Gunn theme song.
I'm an ass man. I'm an ass man.
No, the one I got. You know, the second theme song when it was the One Billy Gunn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is...
Alive and well.
We would have also accepted tastes great on toast. Squash. Vegetable or fruit?
Vegetable.
It is indeed a fruit. It has seeds. Tomato logic.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
New Japan wrestler Tai Chi. His ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question, what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
It just depends on the seamstress. It depends on what your body looks like, so.
So to each their own.
Yeah.
And the last question, the main event, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
No, not at all.
And that is the correct answer. And that will conclude this interview. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this with me.
Thank you so much, man. It was awesome working with you, man. Thank you for the interview, and a big shout out to everyone that's listening in. If they want to find me, they can find me at Tully Bertorelli at Instagram. If you want to listen to my music, you can go to bandcamp.com/Tully Bertorelli1. And if you want to check out the movie, Weekend Getaway is on Tubi, YouTube, and Amazon Prime.
Perfect. And you don't have to type it into your Google machine. All of the links to all his social media will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox. Simply click the link. A new tab will appear on whatever device you are on. You have no excuse. Buy a damn shirt. Of course, thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment. But on YouTube and Castbox, this was sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. Join us next Tuesday and Wednesday for new incredible interviews, and follow us at Wrestling with E, but on X and Instagram for information on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to those interviews, and so much more. Follow me personally at JamesJ993. Alright, when I say Wrestling with, you say entertainment, okay?
All right.
For our special guests, Tully Bertorelli, Kaliko Yacht, Scooter Dust, I'm James Jane. This has been Wrestling with
Entertainment.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.